This is Detroit in Black and White, our New Year's and Friday edition of Detroit in Black and White. Allan Lengel from Deadline Detroit, Jim Nardone. I'm Adolph Mongo. Vanessa Moss is probably out dancing somewhere. You know, we'll see her. We'll see her tomorrow. Who is that? Is that Eric Brown?
It looks like Eric. Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, Eric?
I'm doing good.
No question. Let's start with Eric. Your take on what happened in New Orleans and Vegas.
I mean, it's unfortunate. I think that the particular guy in Las Vegas, his manifesto, so to speak, is very interesting because he said he did what he did because he is tired of America. And what's also so amazing about both of them, the fact that they are very well trained and have been well trained by the United States government due to their Army service. You're 82nd Airborne. The situation was conducted by the guy in New Orleans, and then you had the Green Beret that did what he did in Las Vegas. So that's very interesting that these well-trained human beings did what they did.
Well, the guy in New Orleans was 82nd Airborne, so he was well trained. Right. But you have to look at some of the crazy shit that had happened in America and see who was connected to. And in 1963 in Texas, what's his name? Charles Whitman was at the University of Texas, killed 23 students or whatever. And who trained him? United States Marine Corps. Who they claim, and I don't know if Lee Harvey Oswald was by himself or with others, but he was trained by the U.S. Marine Corps. And listen, Timothy McVeigh, who blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City, trained by the U.S. government. Listen, we untrained a whole lot of people. We help overthrow governments, etc. It is what it is. They wanted to link it all together. Trump, he should have just shut the fuck up until he found out what the real deal was. I don't even blame him because he's still in a campaign mode when he said, "Oh, the border, there's guys from these undocumented alien, and he's here illegally." No, it's not. We trained them. Jim, your take on this?
Well, I want to start off with going a different direction. I want to talk about the law enforcement before, during, and after, I guess.
Okay.
Start with the New Orleans police chief. I guess her name's Ann Kirkpatrick. She's about 66 years old. Interesting background.
She should be retired, right?
She's about 80.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She started in Memphis, probably the only nationally less, bad police department. Memphis has had problems for 50, 60 years. New Orleans has had problems for longer than that, since I think about 17 something. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So she started in Memphis. She spent 3 years there. She made her way to the West Coast to go to law school, ended up in Spokane. Went to Oakland, California. She was fired for lying in some kind of an investigation in, a couple years ago. And then she found her way to New Orleans. She is probably, to me, the worst example of a law enforcement executive that I've ever seen. I was going to explain it to you, but we have a little video. I want people to see this video and think about the 14 people that we lost and the 60 people that are hospitalized that may not make it. Can we get that video? I was going to tell you, but I think she says it best.
What you see behind us is what we call hardening the target. So we have brought in heavy trucks. You will see when you go down Bourbon, you will see yellow, what we call archers, and they're along the sidewalk. And that would be to be preventive if someone had, or if this particular terrorist went around up on the sidewalk, that's what that would do, okay? It would slow that down for anyone who thought that they could breach our targets. And so those are some of the main differences we are done in the quarter. Also, you are going to see an incredibly large presence of police. And we are, though, confident, but we want our community to feel confident and know they are confidently safe. And that's what we're going to do. So right now, I can declare to you that the Bourbon Street is open.
Chief, where did those archers come from?
Sorry?
Those yellow archers, where did they come from?
Actually, we have them. I didn't know about them, but we have them. And so we have been able now to put them out.
Okay.
She sounds like my grandmother trying to explain the internet.
So she's going to put up barriers after these 14 people died and these 60 people, 50, however many are hospitalized. I'm embarrassed for her. She should not be in law enforcement. She has no idea what the hell she's doing. She needs to step away. She needs to be fired. I can't believe she survived 3 days.
Well, anyway, Allan.
I was going to agree with you, Adolph, about, not only Trump, but Marjorie Taylor Greene put out a statement right after saying this is just another example of Joe Biden's porous border, the open borders. And so I think it's sad when, I think when there's a mass shooting with the AR assault rifle, which was used in this attack, that it's okay for politicians to come forward and say we need to ban, we had a ban on assault weapons for a while, and then it was lifted during the Bush administration. But to make up stuff that's not even related to this, for, as you say, they're still in campaign mode. It's like the campaign's over. Let's get to work on stuff to improve our country, to improve the safety, to improve benefits for people. Instead, it's a sad commentary, and I would like to think that it's not a preview of what's to come, but I fear that it's. I mean,
well, the military was much better off when judges used to tell young men that came before them, either you join the Army or the Marine Corps or the Navy, or you go to jail. Right. And you got folks that went into the service and they was scared straight, just to put that out there. Yep. Now we got a volunteer army, and I thought that you would be vetting these folks that come into the military. You say you got standard. You're not taking folks that the high school dropouts and stuff. They had a better military when you took high school dropouts, when you took folks that was given second chances. Now we got people that go in there that's part of gangs, part of the Crips, the Bloods, white supremacist organizations. They get trained, they come out, and they wreak havoc on the community. And this is what we saw.
Wasn't this guy? Didn't he? Well, it was the guy in Vegas, I guess, had been to Afghanistan and all.
They was pissed. He went 5. He was in Afghanistan on 5 deployments. Yeah. That is too fucking much to go into someplace. It didn't get any help. In Vietnam, you only can do 1 tour. They let you do 2 at the most. Now, if you ask for 3, they say something wrong with you, and they gonna put you someplace else. But to send somebody 5 times to Afghanistan, and then they might go twice to Iraq and all these other places, God damn. This guy, he had an issue with his wife. Wife kicked him out the house. But he was probably plotting this shit anyway. The same with the other guy who was making over 125 grand as an accountant, working for one of the top 500 companies in America. And then his whole life fell apart, and you know, he needed what ISIS, what became his new love. Just mind-boggling, you know. So it's not it's not the illegals that we need to be worried about, the pimps and drug dealers and shit from Mexico. It's our homegrown folks that are that have the issues. We got people that's upset with the way this country is being run and shit. So they this is how they take their frustrations out.
I'll tell you, and I covered some of this in 1995 in the Oklahoma bombing. I worked on that story for several months, and it was sort of like, oh my gosh, we've got militia that nobody's been talking about. All these angry militia guys in the thumb of Michigan who are mad at the government for foreclosing on farm loans and stuff like that. And so suddenly the FBI shifted some of its resources to domestic terrorism. Then 2001 came, and domestic terrorism got pushed aside, and then everything was, you know, international terrorism, Al Qaeda, you know, ISIS, and everything like that. And now it's come back to, I mean, we've seen really, it's not anything new, really. 2015, 16, 17, we had 2016, we had the I think it was a military guy who shot up the disco, the gay disco club down in Orlando. We've had a lot of these shootings. We had in San Bernardino, California.
This wasn't a shooting. This was barely a shooting. It was a vehicle. Should we outlaw F-150s? Well, that's all the problem.
Well, no, it was a multiple. It was a shooting.
He shot at the police.
And
well, you know what's gonna happen, Jim.
Well,
some politician in New Orleans is gonna say we're gonna ban vehicles on Bourbon Street. You know, it's gonna be one of those. You know what's coming down. It's like when they start.
Propaganda does not solve these issues, and that's all we do. We run to gun control. We run to this. The example, you're going to shut down traffic. Bourbon Street shouldn't have traffic. If you've ever been to Bourbon Street.
It's not. There's not a magic bullet. There are a multitude of things. When we talk about, when people say, "Oh, it's mental health," it's not guns. Well, it's guns. It's mental health. It's a lot of things. But it's not to say
it's propaganda.
If you're dismissing
propaganda, where has prohibition worked? Has it worked in the 1920s?
If you call it propaganda, then you totally dismiss any of the legitimate issues there.
There is no legitimate. I can make a gun in my garage in 2 hours if I have the right equipment, and you can't stop me. I can get heroin on the street, and you can't stop me.
I can tell you, having covered many of these things for the Washington Post, for ABC News, I can't tell you how many people walked down this road, drove down to the Walmart, drove down to the gun shop, and bought them there. It's not we're going to eliminate
and run into F-150 and kill people.
Jim, it's not that we're going to eliminate all these things, but we can reduce the possibility of some of these things.
Well.
How can you reduce it? I mean, one of the things that people fail to realize is this: America is just a violent country. It was built on violence. It will always be a violent country. And no matter what type of standards you put in place, it's not going to replace the fact that America is the most violent place in the world.
Well, hold that. We're going to come back. And we're going to come back. Well, I'll get to you, Allan. We're going to come back and we'll continue. America is a violent country. We're going to debate that. This is Detroit in Black and White. We'll be back after this break.
In the heart of Detroit, Bruce Simpson. Our city ombudsman and his team are dedicated to making your voice heard. The City of Detroit Ombudsman is a liaison between the City of Detroit and all persons who have a complaint or inquiry into the operation of a city department or the conduct of a city employee. The Ombudsman works as an independent oversight to provide individuals with an opportunity of giving a confidential avenue to address complaints. You can reach the Ombudsman's office at 313-224-6000 or email us at ombudsmandetroitmi.gov. You can also visit us at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For more information, go to www.detroitmi.gov and type in Ombudsman. We are here to help. In Detroit, we are all one team. When you win, we all win.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Well, welcome back to Detroit in Black and White. We left on that note. Eric say this is a violent country, always have been. Allan, you wanted to make a comment.
I'm not going to argue with Eric and Jim and say what they're saying is not correct. But look, that can't be the answer. That we can't. I mean, look, if we have military people who are involved in these shootings, and there are a lot of military people involved in these shootings, then maybe there's some mental health issues that we're not addressing. If we're having so many of these, yeah, you can build a gun, but I can tell you from covering these stories for several years now, really for almost 10 years, how many people have gone legitimately to gun shops and bought AR, 15, whatever the assault weapons are, bought 9mm handguns. We can't eliminate it, but we can try to reduce it and address some of the issues there is mental health issues. It's too easy to get guns for some of these nerdy people who aren't going to figure out how to get guns other than walking into a Walmart or a gun shop. And so we can at least, if we lessen a school shooting by 1 or 2 and we save 30, 40 lives, well,
they don't have the courage to stop it. We only had one 9/11. Why is that? Why do we have one 9/11? Because the government had courage to
stop all the bullshit. Am I correct?
Do it in schools tomorrow. They won't.
Listen, it's just like listen. As a newspaper reporter, I uncovered a cop shooting, and I'm talking about cops that's on duty kill their wife, kill himself. Depressed and shit. But that don't mean I'm gonna take a gun from a police officer if I think something is wrong. How do you stop that, Jim? You were a police officer for a long time. How do you deal with some of your officers under your command that you can see that they might be stressed out, depressed, etc.? What kind of help do they get?
Well, there's lots of avenues to go, but you take their access to firearms if they're misbehaving, if they're having problems, if they're having emotional issues, and you work with them. We don't. It goes back to the same thing, right? It's the individual that was behind the wheel of the F-150. It's lazy and stupid to attack the vehicle that killed the people. It's just lazy. Right? That's a Democrat's answer for the last.
Nobody's attacking the vehicle and saying, let's get rid of F-150s. I mean,
but that's the same logic.
No, it's
exactly the same logic. Let's attack the pencil that we failed our algebra test on because it's the pencil's fault.
Well, look, there's a reason that there are licenses for guns. I know there's a license for cars, but there are some things we can't. I mean, we can't get rid of cars, but we can limit access to guns. And
But Allan, how can you? That's one of the things that bothers me more than anything is people think that guns are the problem. First and foremost, people are the problem. People are the ones doing the violence, and you have look at these statistics. Hold up, Allan. Look at these statistics. America is 19 times higher of a rate of committing homicides than France, 77 times higher than Germany, 33 times higher than the rate of Australia. America ranks 93rd percentile in the highest rate of gun violence in the world. We are a violent country. No more, no less. I can leave my house right now in Canton, Allan, and I can go get 3 guns and bring one to your house, one at Adolph's house, and Jim's house within an hour.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you, Eric. I'm gonna tell you, Eric. You may be right, but most of the people in this world want to come to the most violent country in the world. That's why they at the borders. That's why they sneaking in on the West Coast from China. That's why everybody wants to come here. We got something going, you know. And people on the outside, is not looking like
are not using guns to kill fellow citizens of this country. The freedoms that exist in America versus the rest of the world is above par. But that's a separate issue.
But the rest of the world is not that great. They still burning brides in India. They still killing women in Iran and Iraq because they took their head dress off. Everybody got some kind of fucking problems. I'm gonna tell you, it's not just America.
That's a separate issue than coming to a country where freedoms are different than other parts of the world. That's apples and oranges.
But what you guys saying is that things are so crazy and we're violent. So let's throw our arms up and say, what can we do about it? That's the nature of us. Why should we not try to address some of the issues?
So your solution is to punish the law-abiding citizens that have never done anything wrong with their firearms.
No, I'm not saying to take away guns from everyone. I'm not saying to eliminate the Second Amendment, but I'm saying it should be a little bit more challenging. There's people with mental health issues that are getting guns. There are people who are, look, it's up to, I think the thing in Oakland County with the parents, I mean, there's a debate whether the parents should be held responsible, but at the same time, they provided a gun to a child with mental health issues, stuff like that. Look how many, there were 11 people shot, 4 dead, 7 injured. I mean, I agree. We can't eliminate the problem, but we can try to address it in some ways.
So they're trying to address it now. They're addressing it now, but Allan, you make it seem as if everyone that is using a gun and killing other people have a mental issue. They do not. Not everyone that kills another person has a mental issue, and that's the go-to narrative.
What kind of issue do they have, Eric?
They have a violent tendency to utilize.
Is that a mental issue?
It's not a mental issue.
It's a mental health issue. Look, all of us have a fantasy sometimes, like we want to kill somebody, we want to do something, but
I don't. I mean, you speak for yourself.
Okay. Well, but I'm saying, look, but we are law-abiding. We're mentally healthy enough that we're not going to shoot up our neighbor because our neighbor stepped on our lawn. We're not going to do.
But we got people that has done that. That you parked in my driveway. You looked at my wife. You said something to my kid. Just recently in Florida, a woman went to jail for 25 years because she shot a mother of some kids. She didn't like the kids because they was playing on the grass and stuff. Right. Yeah, we have had that shit. It happens every fucking day in this country.
Can we address?
But here's an example. Over 600 murders. No, excuse me. Chicago has a population of about 29% black, of which 80% of homicides are committed by black residents in the city of Chicago. So by your standard, Allan, you're telling me that those 80% of people that commit shootings and homicides in Chicago are all mental health cases?
Not all. No,
Yeah.
I mean, some are domestic or whatever. But look, you know what? Some of those people are mentally.
Greed. Some are motivated by greed.
I'm sorry. Look, somebody who opens fire in an open crowd and just shoots arbitrarily, I think they have some mental health issues. There's some.
What about all the crazy fuckers that's in Montana and Utah and shit? They predominantly white. Now I can go that route, and they do all kind of crazy shit. Is that population all crazy? Jim, you wanted to say something.
I just want to address some of our viewers. PVT, you don't like my music, thinks we should take guns away from law-abiding citizens. I get it. We had some more. I'm trying to. Derek made a comment about the Las Vegas terrorist having a bullet in his head while he was driving a self-driving electric car. I added the electric. I think they said it was electric.
No, it wasn't electric cars. It was a Tesla. It was a Tesla Cybertruck. That's a EV
in Las Vegas. Was that?
Yeah, Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, but in
so
New York, New Orleans.
The vehicle, New Orleans was an EV.
Yeah, Rhonda said hello. She thinks the U.S. is the #1 terrorist. Terry, thank you. Peace, family. Peace to your family. And that's all. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, as we come to a close, we're going to continue this conversation tomorrow at McShane's on our Saturday show at 10 o'clock in the morning, Michigan and Trumbull. Allan, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts are I'll try to be positive and talk about the Lions. So I'm looking forward to Sunday night's game. That's all.
Fuck the Lions. Go ahead, Jim.
And U of D.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
It's great conversation. The issue is you need real solutions, and real solutions take effort and time, and more importantly, they take courage. After 9/11, we bottled up those airports. There has not been a hijacker at a U.S. airport since that event. So when the U.S. has the courage, they can stop these things. They can stop school shootings, and I wish they would do that.
Go ahead, Eric.
I want to applaud Lit Academy in Cincinnati, Ohio. They had their first meeting of the year to engage the parents as well as the teachers, because kids in K through 12 has the most interaction with teachers and their parents. So what they will be doing all year long is strengthening the relationship between the parents and the teachers to help increase the literacy issue across the country, but specifically in Cincinnati, which they have a much better educational system than we do right here in the metropolitan Detroit area. But it starts with the parents and the teachers. You get them together to coalesce, education will improve in insurmountable ways.
And my final thought is that the Michigan State Police need to get together with the police departments in southeastern Michigan to stop all these wrong way accidents, people going down the lodge the wrong way, I-94, etc. It's unbelievable. I hate driving on the lodge.
I won't drive.
The lodge is that is like a landmine, and I don't know what can you do. Where is the police? It used to be the Detroit used to patrol it. Then it was the state police, but I don't see anybody. We'll be back tomorrow.
Adolph, that's an alcohol issue. More than anything, that's an alcohol issue. And
no, that's a racing. People are going 100 miles an hour. It's like the Autobahn sometimes.
No, I'm talking about wrong way drivers.
Oh.
I think.
Yeah. Well, we need to do something. We need to have some folks out there.
Driving. That'll solve it.
Well, it don't solve it. It all is a money grab. You know, when they start locking people up for a long time, that don't even stop
Yeah,
it.
it
So
doesn't
anyway,
stop. A lot of good
we,
a lot
we'll
of good comments tonight, Adolph. Go ahead and talk.
yes, and we want to thank all the folks that tuned in on this Friday night show. Thank you, Allan. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Teresa. Hopefully we got Vanessa back tomorrow. This is Detroit in Black and White. See you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We'll be, uh, at McShane's with Bob Roberts and the bunch over there. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.